maybe presented in such a way. This is sweetgrass that was harvested. Has to be cleaned up a little bit. You can't really see that, but this is how it's harvested. Kind of bring it home and kind of go through it, take all the yellow and the brown off, and you can see some of the roots are on there. Some people do it differently. This one here is another bundle that's kind of half cleaned already. It's half cleaned. These are kind of dry. They dry up, they curl up. This is one here that's already tied, ready for braiding. It's all ready for braiding that way. And this is a braided sweetgrass. This is the one that Carl presented to me. So this is a step. First you go out to harvest. Some people will clean it up there out in the field. When you go and harvest, then again, first and foremost, you take your tobacco. Sweetgrass, in our language, pikaskusi. Kigawi no, paski westarea. Mother Earth's hair, eh? That's what it's in our language. The hair of Mother Earth, as we hear that, eh? If you recognize it and you recognize the smell when you go out in the meadow, if it's blowing in the wind, you can smell it. Just like hair blowing in the wind. That's what it represents, eh? So everybody does it differently. This one here, this bundle I got, like I say, it's all picked like that. And my uncle gave me this. He said, take this with you. He said, maybe you can use it as a teaching. And yeah, okay. So this has to be sorted through, cleaned up a little bit to start looking like this. And eventually, I tied this one with a red yarn here. If I wanted to braid this, I'd have to wet this. Just because it's dry already, you can feel that. And normally I can even run it through the sink. And basically when women that have long hair, sometimes they comb their hair with their fingers. So basically that's the same concept with this one. Kind of just like what you're basically doing is you're wetting your hair. When they get ready to braid their own hair, women that braid their own hair, they break it up into the 3 strands, what we call strands, and break them up into evenly. Like these ones are dry, so it's hard for me to separate them. But I think if I got Carl to go and run these through the sink, wet them for me, I can probably, I have a string down here. I could probably braid it and talk about it. And while you're doing that, I can continue talking about the sweetgrass. Usually harvested around the beginning of July, August. It's already close to the end of September. And these are still being harvested, but you can see a lot of red kind of starting to turn red at the tip and yellow. I call those the fall colors, eh? And at the stem, can't really tell here, but the kind of reddish purple color, kind of a deep purple on them. And tap again. Be better to let it really tap. So I'm just going to move this a little bit, and hopefully you can see what I'm going to be doing here. Got a piece of string here. So that sweetgrass that Carl is running through the tap there. I've got a string here. I'm going to tie them up in there. I'm going to loop this, make a loop here, and I'm going to, how's that? Just like wetting your hair, so it's damp. It's a little easier. So all I do, I got a piece of string here that I'm going to loop it up. And I'm just going to tie that there. Just kind of tie it in. I'm going to stand up doing this. Basically, the sweetgrass, you take it in your hand and break it up into try and break it up into 3 even strands. Like so. And those 3 strands can represent you, yourself. You know, your mind, your body, and your spirit. And you just kind of start fading into it, eh? Basically, left, right. And you're working towards you. You're working towards you. You can center yourself to what you're doing. You can stand over here, but as long as you're centered, centered. You don't want to stand way over here and braid over here. You don't want to stand too close because you're going to start braiding. No, just relax. And just basically braid the sweetgrass. And some people have asked a lot of questions about sweetgrass, and some people have said supposed to only use seven blades of grass for each strand. I would make 21 blades of grass in here. Yes, there's people that actually count them like that, and they're meticulous that way. I think mostly in the east, west, the Plains Cree, but they'll make small braids. They'll be about maybe a little pinky size once they braid them. For me, I kind of just say a rule of thumb. So if you got a big thumb, you're going to have a thick braid. But everybody's different. So you're just braiding it towards you. You're actually kind of pulling it a little bit. I got this tied there, so not tight, not really hard, but firm. Just the way you're braiding it towards you. And I tell people, yes, some people do use 7 blades for each strand. And that 7 can represent different things. The 7 teachings that we all hear about, you see them plastered all over the walls. But do people follow them or just read them? Yeah. Or do they, or just live, or just practically just live by them, Yes, they're nice drawings on some of them, They represent some spirit animal, but to read them is different, but to live by them is different. To live by them, you show your love, you show your kindness. You basically live by them every day, practice them, and then people see that in you, You're a kind person, conveys that kindness. Explains things, And that 7 can represent our stages of life. 0 to 7 is our baby years, A lot of teachings behind it, Like I said, it could be a self-teaching. The 3 strands can represent you. It can represent family. A mother, a father, a child. Right? And it could represent yourself. You here, and who you connected to up there, the universe, Or as creator, you got Mother Earth, And you're in the center, But there's a lot of little teachings. And a lot of teachings have been passed on, But this was my first teaching tool, I guess I might as well call it. Sweetgrass was one of the main teachings that I started off with. As I mentioned earlier before, I had to go and ask permission to use this as a teaching with young people, foster kids. So again, I had to go and approach my grandfather, my grandmother. I went and approached them. And I went and offered them a bundle of sweetgrass that I was harvesting. I was asked to go to a foster kids camp with one of our child care agencies in our area. To be a resource person, they told me. So they didn't tell me specifically what they wanted me to do. And I kept bugging them, what do you want me to go and do? Because, I mentioned those 7 teachings that are all written up and all that. Written information, On the 7 teachings. I have a lot of that. I had a lot of that written info, about even up the TP and even sharing circles and all that, The guidelines and all that. I had a lot of that written info. I'm saying, I could give them copies of this and they can make their own copies and they can pass them around. They don't need me. But while I was out harvesting the sweetgrass, a nice day, just like a bright light come on, just like that. The answer was right in my hand. The answer was right in my hand, the sweetgrass that I was harvesting. And holy smokes, this is what I should do. I should go and teach these kids. But, like I said, I had to go and offer my tobacco to my mushroom, my cocoa down the road. Come and offer you tobacco mushroom. And I offer you this bundle of sweetgrass for you to start braiding. Come and ask your permission. Can I use this as a teaching? The mushroom, eh? And the mushroom said, Tapwe, true, he said. That would be good. Basically, that's basically what he told me. But after I explained where I wanted to use these for teaching. With these foster kids. And the thing that sticks out in my mind, what he told me. Yeah, he said, that's good. Young people have to know who they are and where they come from. Those two things. That was all he said. That's good, he said. That's good, you're going to teach them. In the language, that's basically it. That's the way I try to be good. Where they come from and who they are. So I prepared enough of these, like I had them ready for braiding, cleaned them up. I don't know, I must have made about 100, 150 of these ready for braiding. And I used to watch my grandmother, like I said, I got Carl to go and wet this for me. And he used to wet these in the sink, all the sweetgrass. He said, if they're too dry, you wet them, you bring them back to life. So when I went to that foster camp, told my wife and her children, grandchildren come with, we're going to go and camp with those kids. I got invited to that camp. We're going to stay right there with them. We're going to camp with them right from day one right to the day they finish. Why should I go over there, I said, and do my thing and leave? I'm just like running away from them, I said. And what my grandfather said to me, stuck in my mind. When I saw these kids coming up, just doing a braid for themselves. I set up a teepee. I put poles across inside there, and I could only accommodate maybe 6 or 7 at a time. But they were lining up outside. They were lining up, and all of a sudden we had supper. Somebody called out supper. So I told them that we were waiting outside. I said, you know what? Let's go and eat. I'll come back. My job didn't finish till at 4 o'clock, like an office. I said, I'll come back. We'll finish everything up. Whoever wants to braid. I was there right till evening. Well, it was dark. It doesn't get dark till 10:30 in the summer, But they were lining up. Not only the kids, even the support workers and the workers themselves, CFS staff, they wanted to braid. So it was an eye-opener for me at that time. And I strongly believe what my grandfather told me. They have to know who they are and where they come from. So that's, and I practiced that. I don't know how many years now, But that was my first teachings with the sweetgrass. And like I say, I had to go and ask my grandfather permission. Offered him tobacco, that full pouch of tobacco, and a bundle of sweetgrass for them to braid their own, gift them, because I was asking for something. And that's what that sweetgrass is. It had a lot of teachings behind it. Sweetgrass is picked normally around July. Some people try and pick it early in June, but it's still not growing fully, So I tell people to wait till it's long enough, This one here is about close to 3 feet already, That's long, That's a long braid. And then you're going to pick it right till, right now, like I mentioned earlier, My uncle picked these the other day, and I say, like, they're changing color, but they're yellow at the tip, and some of them turning into red. And basically over here, they're kind of deep purple and green in the center. So I call these the fall colors when you braid it up after they're cleaned up. They're actually stronger. They get stronger. Eh? So it's picked throughout the summer months. Eh? And, where I live, people have been coming, and I go out and show them what it looks like, and I even help them out at times. And sure enough, some of them, they do offer the tobacco and offer me compensation for my time. Eh? But it makes me feel good that I'm passing that on. Gives me a chance to talk to people out there. So, Mother Earth is my office for me. I like being out there. You kind of ground people, just like grounding people. And then, like I say, what my grandfather's message. You show them who they are, where they come from. So you connect. Some people do this, like I say, will offer a cigarette. When I mentioned earlier about the tobacco teaching, Yes, and some people are adamant that you're not supposed to buy it, but sometimes you have to go a long ways to travel here and there. Now we have iron horses, as we call them, vehicles. So, you gotta have gas. You can't put tobacco in a gas tank, as some people say.
Yeah.
But I guess the compensation is that when they want to learn, they gift you. Some people give gifts, blankets, sometimes tools that you use. I don't have, and it seems like it's the poor people that have more to give.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I've noticed. Not saying that they're poor, but this is all I have. And sometimes I know people are having a hard time. You burn it. Some people will cut this up. Like this one here, I just finished braiding. You can't really tell, but some of the sweetgrass is sticking out.
Mm-hmm.
Some people have to just trim that. Cut those trimmings off. Some will just break them off with their thumbnail and fingernail.
Mm-hmm.
So you can get scissors, you can trim those off. And for me, when I do these at home, I keep these trimmings. I put them in, I collect these trimmings at home. I put them in a box or in a bowl. And once in a while, when I'm not really doing nothing, I'm sitting there, I'll take that box or that bowl and I'll start cutting these up into small pieces. And you can grind these up. You can powder these up there. But if you're going to burn the sweetgrass, for me, once you got it all trimmed up to the end. But you notice when I was braiding, I just tied a big knot here and I slid that knot down, and so it just knotted naturally. Over here I use the yarn. Sometimes I just use a strand of sweetgrass here. I just wrap it up in there and I just braid it right into the main sweetgrass. So I don't even use yarn here and I don't use yarn here. It's all just part of the sweetgrass. But if when I tell people that they don't hang it upside down, it doesn't grow that way. You're going to hang it up, you hang it right side up. When you're harvesting the sweetgrass and you feel that smoothness in it when you're out there, you're actually feeling the oil in it. And all plants have an oil base, but they're alive. So when you hang it up like that, all that oil doesn't go down. But if you hang it upside down, it goes right to the tip. And sometimes it's hard to burn that. So that sweetgrass is braided up. And when you take it in your hand, try and break it. Strong, So those three parts of you, you're strengthening those three parts of you when you tie them together, intertwine them like that together. Your mind, your body, and your spirit. And when you're ready to use that, basically where you tied it here, together. You break that open and you open up them strands. That's just like opening up yourself. And you can light this. Some people use a lighter or match. And if you want to keep it smoldering, all you do is you go like this. Just keeps burning, especially if you want to smudge it. You go to each person, you just keep going like that and let them smudge up and then go to the next one. That's how you keep it burning. For me, like the process is go harvest and I can bring these, like these ones, like I said, my uncle gave me these. He said, use them as teaching tool. Still has to be cleaned up a little, but there's still sweetgrass in there. Some people just braid it like that, the yellow and whatnot. But if you clean it up a little better, they kind of start to look in. This is the way people perceive sweetgrass, nice green color, after they clean it all up. And when you actually braid it, it's a nice clean, nice green braid they call it. So like for me this summer when I was out harvesting, I did a lot of sweetgrass, get it prepared for teaching. I don't actually braid them, but I get them ready. I'll go and harvest, bring them home, clean them up a little, hang them up for a while. Before dark, I'll start tying them up and then hang them up again. And then I put them away, I store them. I just wrap them up in a blanket and I'll put them away. And they kind of stay like this, away from the sun. And when I come and when I come and do teachings, if I have a lot of people, I'll actually wet a towel, a bath towel. I'll wet it and I'll wrap this loose grass in that towel just to dampen them up. And that's how I use them for. And then it doesn't hurt it any when you wet it again. You're actually bringing it back to life, basically, just so you can braid it up. But if you braid it dry, it's going to crack on you. But you're basically trying to bring it back to life with that water. That's sweetgrass, The other teaching that I was going to talk about, that's been passed on to me. Sometimes it's really red, deep purple here, at the stem. They're really, especially this time of year, they're really dark purple, kind of a reddish. An elder gave me a teaching of those, because he was watching me doing some teachings with these in a camp. He said, "You come and visit us in our camp over there. We're braiding our own sweetgrass." So when I was done there with the group and all that, I went for had tea with them. Sure enough, they were braiding. I sit down and have some tea. He said, "You got good teachings there." He said, "You're kind and all that." He explained. "They're going to pass on a teaching to you." He said, "Oma, red purple of this sweetgrass. Oma, that's the Creator's blood. In a traditional sense, that's what he called it. But on the other hand, in the Bible sense, he said somebody put grass. Mandugo Son, God's Son, Jesus, I guess. Said somebody when they nailed Jesus, God's Son, to the cross, somebody took grass and started wiping that blood off his hands and feet where he was nailed. Mandugo Son of God's Son's blood. So Jesus is blood. So he was balancing the teaching in the traditional sense, in the Bible sense. So it made sense. So he was passing that teaching on to me to pass on. It made sense. And then when he gave me that teaching of that purple reddish stem, a lot of the medicines that we use for the good have a lot of that purple red. Weekes, rat root, mint, all these different plants and these herbs. We call them medicines. People call them plants, but we call them medicines. The things we use for the good. So there's a lot of teachings behind it. A lot of teachings behind it. Yeah, you can burn this at home yourself, and like I have this at home and I burn it. Sometimes I just break them up, and I have a wood stove, so I just break mine up and sprinkle it on the stove when I have the fire going, and you smell it in the house. Or sometimes it's there for my kids and my grandchildren. I don't force it on them, but they know the smudge If they want a smudge, they know where it is. Especially my little grandchildren, it was something, I need a smudge, go come, push them. Accommodate them, eh? When I smudge, I don't tell them, come over here, you gotta come and smudge. You know, I don't force it on them, eh? It's not like things that was forced on us, religion. It's kind of like a religion, it's a spiritual thing. They know it's there. I don't tell them, come in, you gotta come and smudge. You know, I don't say that. Not like us when I was growing up, you gotta go to church. If you don't go to church, you'll go to hell. You know that. I'm not saying that's wrong. People follow that as long as they live a good life. To me, eh? So that's sweetgrass, eh? Yeah.
Burn it,
They burn it.
smudge it.
I know there's different teachings, especially with regards to women, eh? I like burning sage, and to me, sage is a woman's medicine. I know that women go through that cycle, they're like Mother Earth, eh? They go through, Mother Earth goes through the seasons, eh? A woman does it on a monthly basis, eh? And for me, my teachings with the sage is that a woman can use that sage, even during, if they smudge on a regular basis. My understanding is that when they're on their moon time, they can continue smudging, but they don't share that smudge with other people until they're finished their moon time. But that's only me, that's the way I was taught. So that's how I can convey that. It might be different for other people. And you know, the sweetgrass, and my grandfather told me a woman can't touch that when they're on their time, but they can touch that. They can use that. Like I said, those are teachings that have been passed on. And even my aunties and my relatives, be careful. To me, you know, it's appropriate sometimes to feel right to gift it to somebody. A good example maybe for me, a person reminds me of a relative that passed on. They remind me, he got such kind teachings. My grandmother was a kind woman, and you remind me of my grandmother. I want to gift you some sweetgrass. And this represents kindness to me. You say, what is you in? You know, that's what it represents to me. Mother Earth, you know, Creator was kind to us and gave us sweetgrass. So it represents kindness to me, that sweetgrass.
And again, it's used in all ceremonies?
It's used in all ceremonies, And some people, like I say, they'll break it up and put it into the medicine water when they have a sweat. And when they splash the grandfathers, you smell that sweetgrass. You know, they'll just break it up or cut it up or whatever and put it in there. And some people actually wash their hair with it. They use it as a hair wash, And some even make a cedar and a sweetgrass tea and drink it. Everybody has a different use. Like I say, for me, I collect all the trimmings when I'm home and I'm doing the trimmings, and then, like I say, they add up, and I'll just sit there and cut them all up, and then I'll use a blender. I grind them up, and then I can use them in different smudges that I make. One of them would be like the Thunderbird smudge. Or you can combine them, the three main medicines together, and make a smudge. Sweetgrass, sage, and cedar. And you can even put the tobacco with it, so you got the four main medicines. Menakasigan they call it. Mukwasigan they call it in different language. But it's basically, when you combine two medicines together, it's menakasigan. You can use it for prayer, and some people can use it in different ways, even in sharing circles or healing circles. And, you know, the guidelines is that you have a facilitator that's doing a sharing circle, so you could have two pretty sweetgrass. So the facilitator hangs on to one, and the other one can be passed around. It's good to have for the facilitator to hang on to one. Maybe the healing, maybe the sharing circle is on a specific issue. So we keep on topic. So when he's done talking, he passes his other braided sweetgrass to the next person over here, usually on the left side, close to our heart side. Unless you're contrary, you go backwards. So whoever's holding that sweetgrass has the right to talk. But the facilitator has the right to intervene, I guess, you know. And us as Aboriginal people in ininiwi, we're very respectful of each other. You know, when we're in this, that circle is strong. Inadvertently, we respect each other and we give that person the time of day that's talking. We don't, once that person is done, he can basically he or she can open up and say, or if, you know, there could be discussion, or we can wait till everybody finished up. There are different guidelines with those healing and sharing circles there. So, you know, and each and everyone has to respect each other.
Mm-hmm.
You take care of it, you know, you don't throw it on the floor, you know, you keep it so people don't step on it, especially, I tell my, you know, I have grown daughters, you know, all my life I teach them, even when they come through the door, not to even step over my shoes. You know, that's being respectful. You don't walk over people's clothing. Put your shoes away. So somebody else is going to come behind you and walk, and they're going to walk over your shoes. So the same thing with medicine, then you're going to respect them. You look after the sweetgrass, put them away. If you want to store them for me, I wrap them and put them somewhere on. I don't put them on a corner in the bottom of the floor. You know, put them away, store them properly in a box, and maybe put that box up on a shelf, or even hang them. Bundle them up and hang them up in the closet. One elder used to ask me for sweetgrass, and he said, hang them up in the sun for me, so they'll turn all yellow.
Yeah.
And, you know, he said, that's the way I want it. All right, so, you know, he'd phone me ahead of time. He'd let me know when he'd be coming. So I'd hang them up so the sun would get to them. They would start turning yellow. So one day I asked him a question, how come you want them yellow like that, my friend? Can I ask you? Yeah, I said, I was wondering when you were going to ask me a question. You know, you're a patient man, he said, you don't question things very much. But, you know, I'll tell you something, he said, you know what? When you dry them in the sun and they turn yellow like that, he said, you're stronger. He took that one braid out of there that he asked for, and here he said, you burned it. Try it. And you know, then you actually experience it. Yeah, so, what is it the way sweetgrass is perceived out there? People looking for a nice green braid. You know, that's our perception of sweetgrass. A lot of people, that's their perception. And where I live, there's a lot of harvesting of sweetgrass, and there's a lot of marketing for it. I buy it off my nephews, and they phone me up. And I know they have young children, so I support them. I'll give you this much for them. They're nice braids, I said, you know, as long as you know the compensation they give you, and I'll offer them smokes. Plus, you know, buy something for your kids, you know, for my grandchildren. That's just like my grandchildren, they're kids. Buy something good for them, you know. So I keep them going. You know, I'm not afraid to do that. And then I in turn, you know, and I said, you know, people will ask me for these too. I said, but there are people that are adamant, you know, that you're not supposed to sell that. I don't want to argue with anybody that way, but I just tell them, you know, you're paying for the person's time. Or actually, I said, you know what, I'll invite you. Just like that story about that tobacco tie with this person. The third year, then, you know, I didn't finish telling that story about that tobacco. The third year, that person came, like, and I went like that. Hang on to that. I want to go show you what this sweetgrass looks like. what it actually looks like. So I saw sweetgrass hanging here, I was just getting ready to braid it. I said, I want to go show you what it looks like out there. I actually took that person to the field. Hang on to this, I said, hang on to this tobacco that's tied in here. Now, make sure you recognize that. I put a stick there. What are you doing that for? I said, I want you to make sure that you recognize it. Took him over there about 50 yards. Okay, sweetgrass here. Where? You're stepping on it. I gotta go back to that stick to recognize it. No. I want you to recognize it over here. So the person, you recognize it? I said, I wanted you to recognize it over there. But I want you to recognize it over there too. Oh, okay. Okay, I took that person back over here to this stick. All right, look at it. Pray to it too, in your own way. I don't have to listen to it. You know, you don't have to pray loud. All right, I said, let's go back. Took him over here to another 50 yards the other way. All right, I said, look. Got it? Well, I don't know. You look, I said, you. Oh, okay, yeah. Now you're starting to recognize it. I said, yeah, okay. All right, I said, drive me back home. That tobacco, I said, you still got it in your hand. You come back here, I said. You open that up, I said, you offer that tobacco there, that's tied here. I said, and you start harvesting. I don't know how many sweetgrass you wanted, I said. But harvest enough for the number of sweetgrass you wanted to braid. Make the braid off to this, I said. I said, you take me back home. I said, I gotta start braiding my own that's hanging there. Got the sweetgrass hanging there all ready for braiding. It's all clean and everything. So anyway, dropped me off. I said, when you're done, you stop in here. Stop at my place again. I said, I'll have some tea for you. Forgot about the person there. All of a sudden I hear the door open and slam shut in a vehicle. Oh, somebody will come around. I came behind the porch there. Person was all flustered up. I got kind of mixed up, he said, but I don't know if I'm picking sweetgrass. The good thing was that the person put it in a blanket. So bring the blanket out, spread it out, and I looked. Yeah, that's a lot of bit of sweetgrass. Now you got to clean it. Person said, that's going to be a lot of work. Yes. And you got to travel home yet. I said, you got to take. When you get home, you got to work on it. The main thing is hang it up. If you don't have time to clean it, hang it up when you get home. You got to work on it. Clean it up. Start making it look like this. Start tying it into ready for braiding. I said, use yarn here. I said, be easier. And then braid. I said, and then you got to do the trimming to make it look like this. And the person said, that's a lot of work. Yes, it is. I said, it's a lot of work. But I didn't want to say it.
So maybe we'll take a little break,
Yep.
lunchtime.